Thank you for joining you. My name is Joanne Donoghue. I am the Director of Clinical Research here at the COM. Most of you know me. Some of you may not know me, but I've been here for 28 years, and my area of specialty is clinical research and really assisting the faculty with clinical research. So, what you could expect from today is basically understanding the concepts of what an AI agent does, specifically SciSpace, how we're going to use it for literature review, examine some of the opportunities and the potential that you have with SciSpace. SciSpace is unbelievable. It really can do everything from soup to nuts with research, and we can't cover it all today, but I'm just going to drop a few things in there to help you play with it when we're done. And probably my favorite feature I'll touch on today is how to use SciSpace for grant discovery. And then just as a disclaimer, I have nothing to disclose. I am not being paid by SciSpace. NYIT is not being paid by SciSpace. And we did not receive any compensation. This is really just to educate the faculty. A little bit of background of why we feel it's so important to really educate you on these AI agents. In the past, clinical research in particular, but all research has its obstacles. Clinical research, the number one reason for failing is subject recruitment. But then when we look at academic researchers, it's lack of time, lack of organization, poor data collection, and the enormous amount of paperwork that goes into going through the IRB and the whole process. The second reason for failure is pretty much from the beginning, you have a poor methodology, a design, a weak hypothesis, and maybe you submitted to out of scope for that journal. Using AI, honestly, has been the biggest game changer we have seen in decades with research. I'm blown away by some of the things I'm going to show you today, and I think you will be too. And this was a study that just came out that showed productivity with using AI for research. The grant writing was majority. So percentage of improvement with efficiency was done 90% improvement for people who utilized AI. Your literature review screening was improved by 75%. Worker productivity, 73%, and then just AI text editing by 71%. And the paper did say that the most dramatic improvement was reducing preparation for grant time from 30, 50 days to 3 to 5 days. I find 30 to 50 days a little lenient, especially if you're applying for an NIH grant. I take usually longer than that. And to get it down to 3 to 5 days, yes, it is possible because I've been using these tools, but it is a drastic, drastic improvement. So I'm hoping you'll feel that way by the end of this. And it's going to be a little alarming for some people because AI is pretty much an intelligence that's been created that is almost, in a sense, smarter than human beings. And you might feel at the end of this, where is the role of the researcher when I show you all this? But I could promise you, I've been using AI now for a year and a half and playing with different tools. It will never replace researchers. It just won't. Your expertise and your knowledge in the field is priceless, but it will make your life a lot easier. And this was the timeline. There's people out there who remember in the 90s where we had to go to the library and look up microfiche to even look at literature. You know, we moved on in the 90s where we got PubMed, which was public, and that was a real game changer for a lot of people. And then by 2004, were introduced to Google Scholar, Scopus, Web of Science. By the late 2010s, we had tools like Zotero and EndNote for referencing was a game changer for all of us. Think of how much time using a reference manager saves us than manually writing it. So try not to think of AI as something that's replacing us, but just another advanced tool. And the biggest thing this year, they call 2025 the year of the AI agent, and it does differ from just an AI large language model. And the major AI agents for research right now is what you see right there, some SciSpace, Elicit, Consistent. Those are Perplexity. Those are probably the top ones. Today we're learning SciSpace. And I think the biggest issue I hear from faculty is an AI tool overload. And I get that 100%. These are just some of the tools that are out there for research. And I'm not even touching on all of them when you see the screen. This is some of them. I've probably tested all of them. I've spent a year and a half testing a lot of these sites. And that's the reason why I am presenting SciSpace today, because I do feel like SciSpace offers the most bang for your buck, essentially, and is probably the most thorough AI agent. And so when we have that, which is the best choice? There's too many choices. It changes so rapidly that it's hard for us to even make training videos in our research department or ATG department because it is changing so rapidly. And then this comes down to cost because nobody is going to pay for all these tools. So again, we're just trying to introduce tools to you that maybe we feel are worth investing in if this is the area in the field that you're in. The other thing to look out for is influencers. Now, influencers are amazing when it comes to AI because they're probably the most up to date. And I do follow quite a bit of them just to keep up with the newest thing that's coming out. But then you're also getting influencers that post things like this. And I took these directly from LinkedIn. And to me, this helps nobody. All this does is overwhelm us and say, I have no idea which tool I should use for what, even though it's telling me this. And I'm certainly not paying for 9 tools. So just be mindful. Influencers do get paid for what their content. They have to produce content. They're great for keeping up with up to date things, but just again, keep in mind with some of the tools that they could be getting compensated. And then there's cost. So these are your large language models, and some of you pay for ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, and they're about $17 to $20 a month. Not horrible for us to spend, right? ChatGPT does have one that's $200 a month if you're using the advanced tier. Gemini has one that's now $55 and higher. But overall, just using a large language model, you're looking at about $240 annually, which again, I don't think is unreasonable, but you can go as high as $2,400 if you're looking for specific tools. So now to use an AI agent, we're looking at cost on top of that. So I'm going to try to kind of narrow it down if when you put your money into something, what AI agent's going to work best for you. So first, what's the difference between AI and AI agent? And it's the ability for it to mimic human intelligence. It learns how to think, learn, it problem solves, and it makes decisions better than AI can. So this is our research workflow. It's quite extensive. We have our literature search. We have to identify the gap. We make a protocol. Then probably the part that takes the longest for us is the IRB submission, our case report forms. We have to learn REDCap. We have to make data collection forms, and then we have to analyze our data. And then from that, we go to publication. And today's world, we really do have to make our information, we have to beautify it essentially for social media. We have to beautify it when we put it into um, a journal. We want to make graphs and tables that are appealing. We want to make sure we have the right journal. We have to format it to the right journal. And honestly, AI agents does all of this for you in one kind of quick sweep. So it's pretty kind of remarkable. And then, of course, funding. We always want funding for our research, and it will find the right fit for your funding. It will help you even create a budget, and it will help you even compose letters of intent and actually format your funding for you. So the difference between an LM model, large language model, and AI, it reasons, it plans, it has a memory, it will remember the conversations you have. You can give it multiple tasks at once. You don't have to give it one prompt at once. And the best way I can explain this to physicians or any health professionals out there is a large language model is like having a first year intern when you tell them, hey, can you present a patient for me? Sure, the 65-year-old male has chest pain. And then you say, okay, what else? He had an MI, he had this. Okay, what tests would you order? When you kind of walk through that first year intern, an AI agent is like having a fourth year chief resident, where you just say, go work up that patient in room 4, and they come back and everything's done and you don't have to do anything. And that is really the difference between a large language model and AI agent. To simplify it even more for someone like me, who I'm not as tech savvy as people might think, even though I'm giving this. If you wanted to make chocolate chip cookies, you would ask your large language model, hey, what ingredients do I need for chocolate chip cookies? And find me a recipe. It might, and you could add it, how do I mix it? Okay, what temperature should I put it at? How long do I bake them for? An AI agent, if it's connected to your cabinets, can search for the best recipe online that had the most hits. It will check that you have enough ingredients in the pantry. It will make sure you have a shopping list for any missing items, and it will create step-by-step instructions with timers. So this is like the 8-year-old version, I like to call this, of explaining a large language model to an AI agent. Now apply this to research. And so using an AI agent for anybody who does research is really a game changer. With a large language model, you're going to have to say, Do a literature search on this for me. And when it finds it for you, you could say, okay, I want to go deeper. Can you help me design a protocol? Can you help me explain the methodology? With an AI agent like SciSpace, it will do all of that. It will go the next step. And when it goes those next steps, you're going to realize how many steps that you really need that you might forget about. So it really is quite remarkable. And we will get into it. Before I do, these are some questions. I have been on other webinars with Deepak, and these were some questions um, that were asked. And I just want to put the answer that Deepak gave with his permission. I put them up here for you. So why not just use LLM for a search? SciSpace in particular, it is tapped exclusively into academic databases and is adapted for scientific research workflows. It's trained in peer review literature. It does have over 270 million papers that it searches from. It uses PubMed, Google Scholar, RXIV. It auto formats citations for you. It's trained in methodologies, academic writing, and it has direct integration with things. The biggest question I think a lot of people ask, especially with AI, is can the tool be trusted for statistical analysis? And will it be as accurate as SPSS? And is it safe to upload data that has not been published yet? Again, the answer to this was SciSpace does not store any of your data and it does not use your data to train its models. We are mostly health professionals on here. So we already know that we have 18 identifiers through HIPAA. You can't upload any data that has any personal identifiers to any web base. And I think that's kind of instilled in common sense in a lot of people, but I just want to reiterate that it's the same for any platform. You don't upload any personal identification data. Can it run code for Python or Excel? And is it as accurate as SPSS and JAS? So it can generate code for Python and Excel, and the accuracy of the output depends on the clarity of your prompt and the data sets provided. So the answer to that was he encourages you to test it with your specific data. I have done that. I've put old data in and tested it. Um, and again, it does depend on your prompt. But one of the other things that's pretty remarkable that it does, it also searches external databases for Google patents. It will identify opportunities and grants that are relevant to the research that you're doing. It assists you with preparing those. It will check your novelty against other existing patents if you're looking at patents. And it can also generate presentation slides and proposals. So this is your basic home page for SciSpace. This is what it looks like. And as you can see from down here, it can do quite a few things. It could even show more. And yes, this can be overwhelming. Quite honestly, you probably won't use most of the tools on here, but just know that they are available. I have played with it a little bit for using poster presentations, and it's not bad. Obviously, you have to put your own information in, but what also came out new, and this was just kind of put at me, is biomedical agent. And this will probably fit our PhDs, our health professionals. If you go into biomedical mode, you will see this homepage. And this is where you can ask all its questions. I'm going to have Deepak drop in the chat all the things that the biomedical deep research can handle, just so because it's too much for me to go through today. But this is where you can also ask questions. You do not have to click a specific thing here. You can just go ahead and give it a prompt. And let's just say I want to do a search, and I'm going to take this because I don't want to waste any time with you seeing me type. I want to do a literature search, and here's my prompt. Conduct a literature search on GLP-1 medications influencing muscle mass, muscle quality, and strength in adults with type 2 diabetes. Prioritize randomized controlled trials, longitudinal cohorts, and meta-analysis. Extract changes in lean mass, appendicular lean mass, muscle quality, strength, functional outcomes utilized. This is not a great prompt, by the way. And some of you might look and say, well, that's longer than I probably would type. I've typed worse prompts and I've typed better. And here's my little cheat sheet for prompting. You can just go to ChatGPT Copilot and say to them, I'm using an AI agent and I want to do a search in this area. Can you please create a prompt for me for an AI agent? And I've done that and it creates a much better prompt than I can come up with. But for the sake of being realistic, this is the prompt that I did. And all you're going to do is just click here. When this happens, it's going to start talking you through every single step it does. Okay. It will say executing a plan. It might ask you questions along the way, and you can read where it's at. And you will see down here, it will say agent is running. This is where it's going to check for everything. And it will say, let me check for this. And then as it goes, it's going to go live and show you its output on the right-hand side, as it just did. And this is what it will look like when it starts to do a search for you. This little box up here, try not to ignore that. It's searching SciSpace right now, but all of a sudden it's going to say searching PubMed. And you could see it over here on the side. These are your mesh words. So when you want to say, well, how do I know it's search PubMed or exactly what it's saying up here? It's giving you the exact mesh words it's searching PubMed with. So you can copy that and use that, especially if you're doing a systematic review and you have to give, how you did your search. And you don't have to, it will always be saved over here on the left-hand side. So what it's doing is it's kind of running through all these papers. As this is running, you can ask it questions. Like let's say, oh my gosh, I forgot. I want Q1 and Q2 journals only. It's okay. It will keep running while you put another prompt in there. And it will still execute it and it will kind of filter it for you. As this is going, I just want to show you what this looks like, and I'm going to show it to you in other areas. You could see here the studies that are coming, and it will say PDF or DOI. When you see this, this is probably my favorite feature of this whole thing. It connects to our NYIT library. So here, I want this PDF. So I'm going to click on it. And it will pull it up for me. It might take a few seconds. So I have the full PDF. I highly recommend any PDF you want, save it to your computer, please. Okay. You're not going to keep everything in here. Always save it into a folder. But let's say I don't have it here. This means that it connected to the NYIT library. Okay. If you see where it says get PDF right here, this means that our library doesn't have it, and it's also behind a paywall. So it's only using the abstract here to retrieve information. And this is perfect for us because NYIT has interlibrary loan. If you see this, get PDF, and it's not in our library and you can't do it, simply copy the DOI number and send it to our library on campus, and they will get you the PDF. And that's obviously just a nice perk that we have for working at a university. Other people who don't have that usually have to reach out to the PI, and it's very time consuming. So that's 3 ways of getting it. 1, the PDF will already be in here. 2, it's connected to our library. Once you click on it, it will ask you to look and search for our school, and you just connect to NYT library for it, or get PDF and send it to our library. Now, this kind of ran this test pretty fast for me. I actually had done this previously, just in case we ran out of it. But I'm going to click over here and just show you add columns. So now that you have all these studies, you can add any column you want to know about the study. You can look and say, you know what? I just want, the methods used. Let me click that. And it will add a column for everything on doing that. Now, I'm going to kind of jump over to the output that I have. So you can see a methods used now. Now I have a column for that. So using this tool here, you can go down, you could add any columns you want for any information you want. You're not going to use all 100 papers. So when you start screening through here, you might like a certain paper that you want. Let's say I really want this article. We can create a folder for this. You simply click on here. And these are my folders. And this is the clay one. And whatever folder I want to put it in, I just kind of click on it and it's done. It's in that folder now. On the left-hand side here is where you see all your recent chats and your folders. Here's my library. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, and that search that I did, quite honestly, took very quickly. Sometimes it could take 15 to 20 minutes to give you a response, and that's okay. It's sometimes I realize the longer it takes for a response, the better it is. So these are my folders that I've created, and I'm gonna go to my eSport research because I know that these are my articles that are in here. And these are the columns I created. And now I know that these are the articles I really want to use for this project, but I want to talk to my paper. There's so many ways to do this. You could click on it here, and it's going to pull up your PDF. And now you can chat with your paper over here. You can ask it any questions you want. It might even say generate a summary. I've asked it some questions. You could see here, I said, explain figure two. So maybe you're reading a paper and you don't understand a figure. You can say, explain figure two to me. And it did it for me. And then wherever you want, so let's say you read something you like in here. If you click on where it found it in the paper, it will take you to where it found the information. And that's actually a new feature that I really like on here. Wherever it tells you it found the information, um, you could even be reading through here and say, you know what, let me highlight this part of the paper that I really like. And it will ask you, can you summarize, get related papers to this area, or just highlight that area, and it will stay on the paper for you. Um, and then um, one of the most fun features of this that I like, and I will click at it here to show you, is you can make a podcast. And I'm going to play this for you. And before you say, well, what am I ever going to use a podcast for a paper for? Keep in mind, some of you might commute to work and you just want to listen to something. And this could be a really easy way to learn a paper because you can hear the audio of it. So this is the podcast that I made, and this is my paper, and it will kind of discuss it for you.
Well, welcome, folks. Today we're discussing an interesting study about the impact of short walking breaks on esports players' executive function during long gaming sessions.
I see. Interesting. So, what exactly was the main question this study was trying to answer?
Well, the researchers wanted to know how prolonged sitting affects executive function and performance in
So you get the point, and it's a 5-minute clip that really discusses my paper and everything there, and it's only taking information from my paper. You could also click on summary, and it will just summarize the whole paper for you. Um, there's so many ways that you can do your literature search on here. Now, let's say we're not getting all our PDFs from SciSpace. Let's face it, we're going to look in other areas, or again, maybe you went to the library and you had to have them get the PDF for you. Very simple. You can upload any PDF and talk to it like this. So if I want to upload a PDF, I click that. Let me click this journal. I open it. It's going to put it right into my folder in here, and it's going to give me all the same details that it did for the papers that it found for me. That's one PDF. You can upload as many PDFs as you want to any other folder. But I am going to pause for a second for one feature that I find really helpful, and that's Zotero. Zotero is an open source reference citation manager. If you aren't using it, and you're using EndNote or maybe something else, I would suggest checking out Zotero. It is free. Because it's open source, it actually links to SciSpace and to a lot of AI tools. For those of you who don't know what it looks like, this is what Zotero looks like. It's a whole library of citations in here. And let's face it, our students and us, we still write in Google Docs, we still write in Word. If you're in Word and you need to cite something, it's always in your top bar here, and you just click Add Citation. You can click in it, and it puts it right in there for you based on that. So it's a very simple tool to use, but my favorite feature with SciSpace is that I can import an entire library from Zotero. So if I click Import Zotero, it pulls up my entire folder of Zotero, and I can just, click on anything and click Import. And then it's going to import the entire folder for me. So I'm going to click out of that because that will take a few seconds. So now let me go back to, this isn't the one I wanted. So you remember now that I put conduct this literature search. This was the prompt we put in. This is the outputs that it has. This part can get actually a little bit overwhelming. All of these outputs that it files are all downloadable. The newest thing that it has in here now is a relevance score. And these are the papers it found me for that prompt. It now gives me a relevance score of what my search was for. This was the most relevant article. This one has a relevance score of 95. So this really helps you find the top papers in your field, this new relevance score. So definitely pay attention to that. You can download all these citations. When you download it, it puts it into an Excel file for you, but it's also going to give you a summary. These are all the questions I asked it, and this can get very overwhelming on here. So I don't want to go through everything with you, but I want you to focus here on the left where I have conduct a literature search. And then I come down here and I said, okay, please use past 5-year journals, Q1, Q2. But now it found all these papers and I really want to find a grant now. Now I'm like, okay, well, what's the top grants in this field that I can find? And I'm going to go down to right where I ask for that. So right here, I put down, based on these results, can you find me a grant that fits the criteria of studying body composition, functional outcomes, and GLP-1 agonists? And I need a submission date that's on or after spring 2026. I did this a while ago. And here are my outputs for my grants up here. It will go through private grants. It will go through public grants. So first, it's going to give me the recommended one and a quick summary, okay? It will tell me the agency of the recommended grant that fits the most, why it fits my research, my proposed study, the program contact for that grant, my competitive advantages for it, other grants found, the next steps. That's a quick summary. When it runs for a grant, it actually will give me the full details. So this was the top application one that it recommended for me. It tells me the deadline. It gives me all the information for that grant, who's eligible for it. It will actually even write you a letter of intent for it. And by the bottom, it will also tell you who you should contact. It will write you, it will even write you a budget. And when you say, well, it has to do all this, you do have to go through it because again, it's still a machine. It doesn't know everything about your grant. I want to show you here that it puts it out into a very nice format for you that you can export into an Excel file, which I have done. And then you can just kind of make your own. It tells you exactly the closing date. It tells you where the grant is from. So it kind of gives you endless opportunities for grants. It will give you relevant grants for the spring of which ones you think are the most eligible for it. This one I love. So it can even come up with, now, when I asked this, I asked for research gap analysis. Based on all the studies out there and what I was looking at, it found me the major gap analysis in my proposed protocol that I wanted to do. It looks at all those papers and basically it searched the outcomes for me and it showed me, okay, so nobody has done this. Insufficient evidence in appendicular skeletal mass. There's insufficient evidence. A comprehensive gap analysis. It's showing me where that gap is in what I'm looking at. If I look at functional measures, which is what I asked it to look at, it found me the most frequent functional outcomes that were tested in this population and the ones that were never tested. And this helps me because now I know where I'm going to probably focus my research on. So this is I know what I'm showing you is very overwhelming and it gives you more information than you can possibly really imagine it giving you. I even asked for a certain protocol with a statistical analysis plan. And it will give me my study overview. And this is where a human component comes into play. So it gave me a study population of 200 people, kind of made a protocol for me using all those outcomes. Now, I know that completing 200 subjects in 12 months is not feasible. So feasibility is a big thing. Any project can sound good on paper. It's experience that's going to make it your paper. But this, again, is just showing you it helps with an outline for you for any grants. And just to give you an example, I had a student that came to me last week and she was looking for grants as a medical student for the summer. She was looking for externships for the summer. So I just simply asked, it really wasn't even a good prompt, find externships for medical students in my region. And, um, it kind of just put out top 5 institutions for her. And I was able to give my student these externships within minutes. So really the possibilities are endless when it comes to searching for a grant. Another thing I want to show, and I'm sure people IRB proposal. So when you go to your home screen, okay, don't ignore the upload button. Okay. What I did here is I said, can you help me with an IRB application? I wrote my protocol and it said, sure. I uploaded a PDF of our IRB protocol here on campus. So basically, if you go into Cayuse, you can download a PDF of what all the questions are in that protocol. And I upload my proposal in here. And what it came out with was a draft for me to help me get it through. It's my proposal. It's just helping me ask each question and answer it in a way that the IRB's language would want to hear. Now, you cannot take this verbatim. This is, you want to go through and make sure that this is your words, you understand it. But this has saved me, honestly, hours of time with an IRB submission. So that's just another little tool that I like in there. If you're ever applying for an R01 grant, I could just put here, can you please give me an application template for R01? Anybody who's applied for an R01 grant knows how difficult it is with all the guidelines you must follow. And it will give you the components and a checklist of how to apply for that grant. And it will even help you create that. So again, a lot of information, very, very overwhelming. Um, but it's a real game changer when it comes to finding grants and to really help you with even a power analysis or protocol development. Now, a few things I will tell you going back to the home page here. In this top right corner are your credits, and credits deplete very quickly in SciSpace. So this is definitely not a platform to just go and play and say, hey, let me just play over here, play over here. I would definitely go into this kind of knowing where you want to do your literature search, kind of knowing what your project area is. You don't want to just have this help you create some ideas because these credits do deplete quite rapidly. So I will tell you to have some sort of focus with that. Another feature on here that I truly enjoy is the AI detector. And I've played with this and I have found it to be pretty accurate, especially when you're checking students' work, because we all know students are using AI at this point. And this is just one that I asked ChatGPT, create an abstract for me. I plugged it in and you can say right here, it told me 100% AI detection. Okay, so I was like, that was correct. It was. These were other scans that I did. And this was actually something that a student sent me. And you could see here that it said 0 AI detection report. I know my student wrote this on their own. There was no detection in it. So this is actually a very cool tool, especially for us as academics on here. Going back to the biomedical agent, this is fairly new. I will have, like I said, Deepak drop something in the chat. This is where you upload something on here. Don't ignore this. You can upload your papers and say, please find me grants based on this paper and just upload the PDF for it. One feature that I love on here is that you can add it to Google Drive. A feature that is coming is that it will be able to sync with your Google Drive. But you could upload any files from here and then you can add directly from your Google Drive. And I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I'm sure Deepak can actually probably say that for you in here. All right, so I'm going to stop here And I'm gonna see if there's any questions in the chat that, that anybody wants answered.